by Reverend Dr. Ezekiel Koenig. There is a problem in this nation. It is a large problem, though its effects have not yet been fully realized. It looms over us, lurking like the sword of Damocles. It stands poised, ready to descend upon us, and when it does, it will destroy us all. I am talking, of course, about the state of our nation's youth. At no point in the history of America has a generation been so utterly sinful, so utterly devoid of moral structure as those living out their teenage years today. Generation Y, as they call themselves, wantonly discard the values of our past, the values that have supported this nation for more than 200 years. Drug use, premarital sex, rejection of religion, acceptance of homosexuality. Generation Y is a veritable Sodom, festering in the midst of our nation, just waiting for the hand of God to come down and smite it from the earth. But why? Why have our children lost their way and become the playthings of the devil? It is through no fault of their own, but through the fault of their parents. That's right, the baby boomers, the hippies who spent their youths in drug-induced stupors have failed utterly to instill any sense of piety or obedience into their children. Worse yet, this parenting has laid our young people bare to the infinite horrors, the unending spectacle of sex, violence, and perversion that has come to dominate our popular culture. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Reverend, you're making too much of this. Our children are just fine. Teenagers have always been rebellious. Drugs, sex, alcohol, these are not new problems. Parents have always had to deal with these issues. Ha! There's the rub. Parents have always had to deal with these issues. I agree, but the parents of today, well, they just don't do that, do they? No, they see no problem whatsoever with their children enjoying the occasional drink, or hit of pot, or syringe full of heroin. After all, we did that as teenagers, and we came out just fine, right? Your daughter lost her virginity before wedlock? Well, there's no problem as long as she's safe, long as she uses birth control, which we all know offers but a false sense of security. And hey, if she gets pregnant, she can always just go get an abortion. These parents, these hippies must be stopped. They are a generation devoted their entire lives to wallowing in hedonism, where every whim was embraced and every inhibition suppressed, where the core beliefs of Christianity were not only discussed and challenged, but discarded like used tissues. Now, I've heard hippies tell their children flat out there is no God. Atheism. Atheism is now an acceptable lifestyle for millions of Americans. Are they blind? Can they not see that in our long and wondrous history, the hand of the Almighty has been there, guiding us along the path of glory? It has been through faith and faith alone that America has survived and prospered. Through the most arduous of trials, now our children don't even believe God exists. Their parents, the first and last line of defense against corruption of the soul, have told them this. They will kill us. Surely as if thousands of nuclear bombs were to rain upon our soil. Now, some of my colleagues have proposed we attempt to use the legal system to rectify this problem. Petitions, protest, advocacy groups, and whatnot. This would be an exemplary plan if we were attempting to remove a few weeds from an otherwise flawless garden, but I fear the time for reclamation has passed us. Unlike the egalitarian nation laid down by our forefathers, our nation as it stands is no glorious monument to the Almighty, no shining moral light for the world to follow. Oh no, the House of America of today is a weak and flimsy structure. Like a decayed house held together by mold, the foundations of America have crumbled away, leaving behind a frame so brittle a breeze could knock it down. This is no future for us, for our children. But there is another choice. A brighter future, one lived in unending bliss and pleasure. It is written in Revelation 11:1, "And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein." The message of this prophecy is painfully clear. When the Jews return to Israel and the temple of Solomon is rebuilt, Christ shall rise again and mete out the holy from the wicked. He will erect a great city more splendid and beautiful than any that has ever will or exist. He will rule forever with his perfect justice, and we, the faithful, shall live there and at last reap our long-earned reward. But for this to happen, the temple must be rebuilt. And that is why I call to you, the faithful, those who believe in a power higher than yourself, to use your earthly resources for the good of the Almighty. The Temple of Solomon must be rebuilt, for when it is, Christ will return. But where it stands on its place upon the Temple Mount, there sits a mosque, a false temple to a false god. Oh, make no mistake, it is through the hand of the heathen that Satan has erected that foul effigy to himself upon that most holiest of sites. It is there to blockade us, to stop the true sons of God from fulfilling the Almighty's will. But this is an obstacle that can be overcome with the use of our earthly riches. Money, that vilest of things, that cause of so much sin in the hearts of men, can be used for good. Some of our Jewish brethren in the Holy Land have started an initiative to purchase the Temple Mount from the Muslims. Obviously, such a venture will acquire a very large sum of capital. We've been meeting with the Muslim leaders, Israeli officials, and an international team of crack loyals, all in the noble quest to wrest that holy site from the heathens and fulfill Ezekiel's prophecy. That is why I ask you, the faithful, the saved, those who will reap God's eternal reward, to cast aside the corrupting fiscal shackles of the world, to throw them at the feet of our oppressors and say, here, take this foul money. Our purpose, our destiny is higher than any on this earth. If you know you are amongst the chosen, if you are willing to make the needed sacrifice, if you embrace the destiny that is written for you upon the creation of the world, then call 1-900-END-TIME. That's 1-900-363-8463, or make a donation online at www.thirdtemplecrusade1.co.ng. Use the tools of the devil against him. Bring justice to those who have taken it from the world. Fulfill the Lord's prophecy and live forever in his glory. Thank you and amen.